when it comes to the Supreme Court justices, a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's some controversies when it comes to, the terms and the amount of, like basically the lifetime term of a Supreme Court justice. A lot of people have been criticizing it. People have been saying that the Supreme Court justices need to have, a term limit. They can only serve for a certain amount of years. But the thing is that I actually agree in the sense that the Supreme Court justices need to have a lifelong term, regardless of their political affiliation, because a Supreme Court justice is meant to, they're expected to uphold the Constitution. Now, I'm not saying that, there's past, obviously, conservative and liberal justices who've tried to, influence the way they want the Constitution to be and their interpretations of the Constitution. But the thing is that a justice is expected to uphold the Constitution, and therefore they're pretty much immune to being removed. The only way you can remove a Supreme Court justice that doesn't involve an untimely death or that justice chooses to retire is an impeachable offense. But again, it's a really long process to even be nominated. It's a really long process to even be given a position. Because whenever someone is being considered for a Supreme Court justice, it's a very long process. They make sure that the person they're putting in as a justice doesn't have any criminal records. They pretty much want to make sure that the person they're giving that position to is someone that doesn't have any mud on them. Like I said previously, with Kavanaugh, the controversy with Kavanaugh, again, it happens. Trust me, it does happen. But I'm not here to talk about Kavanaugh, though. But the point is, the only way for you to get rid of a Supreme Court justice is if they break the law while they're serving as a justice. Other than that, if you don't like Kavanaugh, guess what? Deal with it. If you don't like, what was another one? If you don't like Clarence Thomas in the Supreme Court, deal with it. You can't get rid of them unless they break the law. But like I said, they're not giving the job. It's not a job that people give to all willy nilly. It's a long process, and it's taken into a lot of consideration. Like I said, no one, the Congress can remove them unless they break the law. But again, if assuming that the Supreme Court justice is a saint, hasn't broken any laws, Congress, no matter how much they cry, how much they whimper, they can remove a justice. If the president says, I do not like Kavanaugh anymore, I want to remove him, he can't do that. He can't. Even though Trump appointed Kavanaugh, let's say tomorrow, Trump gets in a fight with Kavanaugh. And he's like, well, I don't want him to be justice anymore. Too bad, Trump, you can't remove him. But what the Congress can do is increase the number of justices. Now, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the saint and savior of the left and the Democrats, he tried to do that, and it didn't go well. People hated him for it. Because think about it. Who do you think appoints people to the Supreme Court justice? The president. Now, Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the time was president, and he wanted to, obviously increase the number. And who do you think was going to appoint them? He would. He was going to appoint them. That's the thing. Presidents, they're not going to be in the office forever. But the legacy, the influence, that stays with the Supreme Court justice. That is why whenever a president, or that is why whenever there's a vacant seat in the Supreme Court, it's a big deal. Because the sitting president could leave a lasting influence despite his 2 terms or the 1 term being up. So, think about it for a minute. Congress cannot shrink the court. For example, there's 9 justices right now. They cannot shrink the number of justices because, again, if they do shrink it, they will technically be removing a justice, and they cannot do that under the Constitution. But what they can do is increase the number. But do you really think it's a smart move to increase the number with Trump sitting as president right now? I don't think it's a good idea. Now, I'm pretty sure Democrats are confident that they're going to unseat Trump in 2020. We have yet to see that, and honestly, I'm looking forward to see what happens for 2020, because we never see re-election campaigns are never really that big of a hype. But for some reason, this re-election campaign for Trump is turning out to be a really big deal. But we'll see what happens. But like I said, Democratic senators in the Senate, I don't know why I said that. Democratic senators are literally warning the Supreme Court about facing restructuring. Well, good luck with that. Because you can't fire Kavanaugh. You can't fire, Clarence Thomas or Ruth Ginsburg. You can't fire them. You can't. What about Sonia Sotomayor? You can't fire her. You can't. So what are you going to do? Increase it? Okay. But guess who's appointing them? The president. And they say this tomorrow, they say if tomorrow Congress says, you know what, we're going to increase the size of the Supreme Court, guess who's still president? Trump. And it ain't gonna be easy. It's not gonna be a fun thing. But let's go on with this. The article's from Fox News and it reads: Senate Dems. Okay. Senate Dems deliver stunning warning to Supreme Court: heal or face restructuring. Several high-profile Senate Democrats warned the Supreme Court in pointed terms this week that it could face a fundamental restructuring if justices do not take steps to heal the court in the near future. Now, there's a picture of the current sitting justices. From what I've known, from what I can know, I know that's Kavanaugh right there. That's Clarence Thomas. That's Sonia Sotomayor. Again, the picture's really low res. I can't really tell by face because it's really blurry. There is Ruth Ginsburg, of course. I know this guy's the Chief Justice, but I forgot his name. I apologize. All I know his last name's Roberts. I think his name's Roberts. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but anyways, let's keep going. Again, these are the current justices right now. They're a total of 9. Chief Justice in the middle. But again, let's keep going. The ominous and unusual warning was delivered as a part of a brief filed Monday in a case related to a New York City gun law. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat from Rhode Island. I think it's Rhode Island. RI is Rhode Island, I think. Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut. Mazie Hirono, Democrat from Hawaii. Richard Durbin, Democrat of Illinois. And Kristen Gillibrand, a Democrat from New York, referred rulings by the court's conservative majority in claiming it's suffering from some sort of affliction that needs to be remedied. The Supreme Court is not well, and the people know it, the brief said. Perhaps the court can heal itself before the public demands it be restructured in order to reduce the influence of politics. The last part was quoting language from a Quinnipiac University poll in which 51% favored such restructuring. In the same poll, 55% believe the Supreme Court was motivated by politics more than the law. Dramatic changes to the Supreme Court have been proposed by several Democrats vying for their party's 2020 presidential nomination, with court packing being a common, though highly controversial suggestion. Increasing the number of justices on the court would allow the president to shift the balance on the bench by loading up justices of his or her Democratic candidates, including former Representative Beto O'Rourke of Texas and Senators Cory Booker of New Jersey, Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Kamala Harris of California, and Gillibrand. All have signaled an openness to expand the number of justices on the court should they reach the White House. I'm going to take a break here. Like I said, Franklin Delano Roosevelt did the same thing as well. When he was president, he tried to push to increase the number of justices in the Supreme Court. Why? Because he was going to appoint them all. That's the goal. Beto O'Rourke, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and Kristen Gillibrand, they're literally willing. They literally already said, if I become president, I will increase the number of justices. Guess who's going to appoint them all? If they win, the president, right? The president's going to appoint them. Now, of course, the Senate has to confirm them, but again, you have an advantage when you're president. Like I said, FDR tried this in the past. It didn't go well, and that was one of his most unpopular things, during the Great Depression. But let's keep going. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg has also supported expanding the court, proposing a plan to have some justices appointed by the president and others selected by the other justices in order to depoliticize the court. He's admitted that the only way he can think to make this work would be to increase the size of the court from 9 justices to 15, while stressing that simply adding more justices onto the court who agree with you would be a bad idea. Yet other candidates, such as former Vice President Joe Biden, has come out against court packing, as has Bernie Sanders, which I'm surprised, though the Vermont senator has justices rotating judges to other courts. Liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has also spoken out against court packing, telling NPR in July, 9 seems to be a good number. The Democratic senator's brief was filed in the case of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Incorporated versus City of New York, which dealt with legal limitations on where gun owners could transport their licensed, logged, and unloaded firearms. They are urging the court to stay out of the case brought by the NRA-backed group, claiming that because the city recently changed the law to ease restrictions, the push to the Supreme Court is part of an industrial strength influence campaign to get the conservative majority to rule in favor of gun owners. If the court still decides to hear the case, a ruling against New York City could prevent other cities and states from passing similar gun control laws. Conservatives currently outnumber liberals on the Supreme Court 5-4, but the past year featured a multitude of cases where conservatives, including President Trump's picks Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, sided with the liberal bloc. And I think that concludes the article. But like I said, 9 seems like a good number. And I'll tell you this right now. Conservatives don't all think the same. Liberals, in many cases, they don't all think the same. Like I said, some conservatives disagree. And I tell you this right now. I tell you this right now. I've actually been surprised because again, just because Kavanaugh was appointed by Trump and Neil Gorsuch was appointed by Trump, it doesn't mean they're gonna support his ideas every step of the way. No, like I said, the justice's job it is expected of them to uphold the Constitution and leave all political biases behind. For example, I'll give you a good example of this. Let's say a good example. Let's say tech companies, right? Let's say someone sues Facebook for censorship, right? Because let's say they're conservative. Because again, big tech and Google, there have been a lot of accusations of censorship from conservatives, right? They're censoring conservatives. Let's say someone brings up a court case, right? It says I'm suing Facebook for censoring me because I'm a conservative and now they deleted my page and all that stuff, right? Let's say that case goes to the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure Ginsburg is going to say, you know what, Facebook can't do that. They can't. Why? Because they're technically violating the First Amendment. Now, obviously, Facebook will have to they'll have to state what they are. They're a public forum, or they're a publisher. I don't know what it was. But the thing is that they can't, they have to face one thing. Are they a public forum, or they're a publisher, or all that stuff, right? But the thing is, like I said, I'm pretty sure Ginsburg would probably side with the First Amendment and saying that Facebook and other companies cannot remove people based on their political beliefs. That's censorship, and again, it violates the First Amendment. But again, I don't know. Restructuring, I think it's suicide. I think it's political suicide because if tomorrow, let's say Congress says, you know what, let's increase the number. Who do you think is going to appoint them? It's going to be Trump, right? And all the candidates like Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, if they win for president, it's pretty funny how they're running for president, and then they want to increase the size of the Supreme Court. We're talking about 9 justices right now. They want to increase it to 15. Okay, that's what 6 more people, 6 more vacant seats. Let's say if Kamala Harris wins the presidency, right? I doubt she will, but let's see what happens, right? But let's say she wins. Next thing you know, the court increases to 15. Who do you think is going to appoint all those justices? Kamala Harris, right? She's going to appoint them. But like I said, again, I consider it political suicide. I think it's a lot of nonsense. But legally, they can increase the number. But they cannot decrease it unless it's a vacant seat already. For example, let's say right now there's 9 justices. As of right now, Congress cannot say, as of tomorrow there will be 8 justices. They can't do that. Why? Because they're technically removing a justice and they're violating the Constitution doing so. They're removing a justice under terms that are not in the form of impeachment, or the justice hasn't passed away. Now, let's say, for example, one of the justices, I'm not going to specify who because I don't want to spread any controversy, but let's say one of the justices were to pass away, right? They of an illness or something, or they choose to retire, right? Or they choose to retire. Now we're down to 8. If Congress reacts fast enough, they can say now we're gonna decrease the number to 8. Why? Because there's a vacant seat. Technically, they're not removing anyone because it's a vacant seat. That they can do because they're not removing anyone. But as of right now, the only way they can do this is by increasing the number. But I don't think that the Democratic senators right now that are advocating for this, I don't think they're dumb enough to say, you know what, let's do it right now. They're waiting to see if a Democrat wins the nomination, not to mention the presidency, to make this happen. But like I said, it's never really been a popular thing because right now there's 9. I think that's a good number. Now, sure, conservatives outnumber liberals by 1. It's 5-4, but I mean, like I said, where were the liberals when liberals outnumbered conservatives in the Supreme Court? They didn't see a thing then. In fact, had conservatives said, you know what, let's increase the number. There's too many liberals and we need more conservatives in the Supreme Court. I'm pretty sure the liberals would have said, whoa, that's too bad. How dare you go against the Constitution? How dare you change tradition? Because again, the numbers never specify in the Constitution. Keep that in mind. So the Constitution never specifies the number. They just said that that Congress can increase the number should they deem so, but 9 is not a fixed number. If Congress wants to increase it, by all means, that they can do. But I don't think they're dumb enough to do it right now. But like I said, it's not gonna be a very popular thing because, like I said, 9 is enough. 9 is enough. I consider that enough. Though I think the only reason why they're chanting and they're pushing for this is because their people, their side, are not in the majority. But I guarantee you, if the liberals were outnumbering conservatives, this wouldn't be brought up. Okay, but that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that the Senate and Congress in general, do you think they should increase the number to 15? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that liberals, especially Democrats right now in the Senate, are pushing for this because they want to look good? Especially, again, all the people that are pushing for this are people running for the nomination for Democrats. They're running for the presidency right now. Do you think they're just doing this for virtue points and looking good points and brownie points? Or do you think that, or do you think they're actually serious about this? And do you agree? Do you agree with my opinion? Again, it's my opinion. Don't take it as a fact. But do you think that do you think that it's awfully convenient that when liberals are outnumbered in the Supreme Court, because of conservatives outnumber them, by one? Do you think it's awfully convenient that right now, since liberals are outnumbered, now they want to increase it? Do you think they would want to increase it knowing that liberals outnumber conservatives? Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, hit the like button. Share the video as well. YouTube has decided to derank independent political commentary. I'm pretty sure they will derank derank this video. So the best thing you can do is just share and like the video. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button as well. That way you never miss an upload. And hopefully I'll be able to talk about 2 more segments. One about presidential nominee running for the nomination for the Democrats. But hopefully you guys can stick around for that. And if you can't, have a good rest of the night, you guys. I know I'm uploading pretty late, but I had to work, and I had to do a few errands before I started doing these videos. But let me know what you guys think. Sincerely, do you think that this is a good idea to increase the number, especially with Trump still being in the presidency? Obviously, it's not going to be a fast decision, but if Trump wins in 2020, do you think that this will still seem like a good idea if Trump wins re-election? Like I said, I don't know yet, but I don't think it's a good idea because the president's going to have to appoint all of them. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want that if Trump was still president. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next segment, but if you can't, have a good rest of the night, you guys. See you in a bit.